Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I would like to teach you how to remove the hood from the hoodie the easy way. So before anything, grab yourself some sewing supplies like scissors, thread clippers, seam ripper, straight pins, sewing machine, thread, measuring tape, and a bit of time and patience. And I will start by unclipping, stitching around the neck opening, and then once you separate the hood from the hoodie, annoying hood from the sweatshirt, you're gonna end up with just a neck opening. And the next step is to stitch the neck opening on a sewing machine to prevent the neckline from stretching anymore. So after you run a straight stitch around the neck opening, I would like you to grab the shoulder points and align them nicely to get the middle, like a center point at the front of the sweatshirt and at the center back. And once you have that, I will take the scissors and just clip a little bit at each center to mark where I will later on align the new neckline, like the binding that goes around the neckline. Next step is to measure the neck opening of the sweatshirt and also measure your head all around and decide on the desired new neck opening. How big would you like the neck opening to be, and make a note of it. Next step is to cut the hood open, but don't cut it all the way. Cut it about 3/4 of it, like in the middle, in the back. Start at the center back and then continue towards the front. I'm gonna use the hood facings to make the new neckline binding. At this point, you need the new neckline measuring and divide that into 2 and mark that with the tailor's chalk accordingly. Make sure you mark the middle at the middle of the hoodie facing. So start in the middle and then equal part to the left and equal part to the right. After you're done, you're gonna cut that out, and I will trim any extra fabric from the full length of the hoodie facing and open up. Like for example, here I have a stitch going through the front of the facing, so I have to unpick the stitching in order for me to connect these two later on. Arrange the two sides of the fabric, two ends of the hoodie facing in a straight line, pin it with pins to secure it. And sew it with a straight stitch. Make sure to backstitch it at the beginning of the stitch and at the end. Remove the pins as you sew. So make sure you will not damage the needle if you end up sewing over the pin. Okay, that looks good. And next step, I will run a straight running stitch, only because that's how the hoodie facing originally was finished. So I will only follow the original stitching. Okay, good, perfect. So now what I'm gonna do is to mark center front and a center back. So it's like I'm gonna divide the new neck opening, the binding, into 4 equal parts, so later on I can attach it to the shoulder, to each shoulder point, and then the center back and a center front. I will start at the center back, making sure the right side of the fabric is touching the right side of the sweatshirt fabric. So the right side of the new color binding will have to touch the right side of the sweatshirt. So first I am pinning the center back. Next I move to the shoulder point on each side, left and right, and the following step is to pin center front. The front is a little bit trickier because the neckline, the cutout is bigger than the, like deeper than the back. So I will have to make more pinning to ensure that it will be nice and even. So what I'm gonna do is to again mark the middle of that quarter here, right? So I will mark the middle of that, and on each side, and also on a sweatshirt, to ensure that it will be nice and even. I'm not gonna have surprises and ugly stretch later on when I'm finished. So it's all about precision. The binding doesn't have that much of a stretch, but the neckline, the sweatshirt neckline, it does have a lot of stretch, and that's why, remember at the beginning I did that running stitch to make sure it will not stretch any more than whatever it is now. Great, that's perfect. See how much I can stretch? So that's gonna work well. And the following step is to sew a simple running stitch. So let's move to my sewing machine, and I will show you how I stretch the fabric to ensure it will be nice without any ruffles later on when I'm finished. See how much I can stretch it? And I'm gonna leave about 1/2 inch of allowance because I have that original stitch line, and I will try to follow that stitch line or sew very close to it, so then when I flip that it will be nice and even, and then I can have that original stitching as well. And as I go, I will be stretching the fabric. See how much stretch it does have, to make sure I will work in all that extra fabric. So back stitch, and then remove the pins because you don't want to damage your needle, and keep stretching as you go. See? Try not to stretch the bottom fabric, only the top. Because if you stretch the bottom, then it would be too much to work it in. And that's it, couple back stitches. And let's see. So the next step is to iron the area. Alright, so next step is to trim the collar. I will leave the top layer, this fabric, lift this one up. You can pin it with pins so it's not gonna get anywhere. Trim the neckline to about a 1/8 or like a 1/2 centimeter. So don't leave it too much. If you leave too much, then you might have a hard time folding in the top layer of the collar fabric. I will fold it nicely in and hide the raw edge of the neckline. So the thickness would be about 1/4. So I'm hiding all the raw edges inside to secure the stitch, plus so I don't have to serge it. Use the serger or the zigzag, because then it itches the skin. It can itch the neckline, so for that reason I like to hide that stitching. Here it is, and I will start stitching in the middle of the back, and I will remove the pin as I go, and I will aim for 1/4 of the seam allowance. So from this stitching to my finished stitch, I'm aiming for 1/4. So I will remove the first pin, so go slow to make sure you get the stitching right, nice and even. Beautiful. And now back stitch, and that's it. Beautiful.